Welcome everyone to the December 8th, 2022 Helm developer call. So we've got our notes for today. Has that been dropped in yet? Anybody who does not have the agenda open. There's the, oh, there we go. Karen, you beat me to it. So today we have nothing on the agenda?
Yeah, it's weird. Everyone's here.
Everyone's here and we have almost nothing. So Karen, you have an announcement. Let's start with the announcement.
I mentioned this last week, but just a reminder, the Helm Maintainer Track CFP for KubeCon Amsterdam is now open. So there's a link to the form. It's the same sessionized process as all the other conferences for KubeCon CFPs. So yeah, a reminder there. I think at the last meeting, we kind of got an idea of who was going to be there. So Karina, Andrew, I think myself will be there. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone wants to, I can start a hackathon and just pull all the questions from the sessionized and then people can collectively work on it. But if anyone has any specific ideas for what we might want to do for the next session, yeah, start brainstorming. That's it for me.
Okay.
I was going to suggest that we look through the survey and see what community members might be really interested in for the next topic.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Since we had a lot of survey responses, which was awesome.
Yeah. All right. The other announcement that I guess I'll make, unless there's something else along those lines, Karen, is we have a release coming next Wednesday. It's a patch release. So it's on our normal schedule. It is the last patch release of the year. The release after that will be a minor release, and it won't come on the second Wednesday. It'll come on the third Wednesday. And that's really because most people disappear around the holidays. And as soon as the holidays are done, nobody's ready to cut a release candidate 10 days beforehand. So we push out our January release by 1 week so we can cut that patch release or that release candidate.
So that puts it on is it Wednesday, the 18th?
I think so. It's the third Wednesday. I didn't look at the day. And that's it. Are there any other announcements? Okay, nothing. George, you've got the first discussion item.
All right. I've been helping. I don't think we've met or so there's 2 minutes. But we use Helm a lot internally for some of our stuff at work, and so I've been trying to help Julian. I think he's mostly been doing some of the triaging. And to that point, I've sort of collected these 4 PRs as potentially interesting ones we might want to review. If that's helpful to discuss. Let me share my screen.
Sure.
So it's probably.
Can you share your screen?
I can. I'm just going to share my whole screen if I can.
Okay, good.
Right. So I got these open. So the first one, this one came in, and the guy wants to change waiting for jobs to use a watch, which his point being, if the job is cleaned up before the pull loop and the wait occurs, then Helm never spots the job's actually finished. So if you watch, you can detect this. So this would be similar to the way a controller operates, if you're familiar with controllers. But what I was trying to understand with this PR, I want to look at the code, is this would require watch RBAC verb. I don't know if this is backwards compatible since it's introduced in your requirement. So I don't exactly know how to advise him here. And then the second question that I had was how he would write some tests. So maybe for the first part, do we want to use this meeting to talk about this PR, or should I just skip to the next one and we can review it offline?
Sure, I think we can spend a few minutes on it. We didn't have any other topics in the agenda, so
okay,
we might as well use this time to have a little bit of a conversation about this.
Okay. So I guess the first question, like, would be adding the requirement to have RBAC permissions for watch, would that be a compatible thing, do we think, or did you I kind of went quickly for time purposes, but did I explain myself well enough? Sorry, not that point here. This one.
Yeah, I'm looking through the code to see if there are any things that look like they would violate, say, like the breaking change policy or anything like that. So far, I don't see anything. It looks pretty clean. The change in ready.go would be the only one that we'd really have to even look at, it looks like, because.
But the RRAC stuff really is, I don't know if we have even any guarantees in that direction, right? But even if we don't, yeah, still a thing to consider, right? Could actually break people that have, I don't know, cluster roles defined for their Helm install scripts, whatever.
So if we did think it was non-backwards compatible, I could advise them, or someone could advise them, that we could essentially have a watch type where you could opt into, sorry, a waits type where you could opt into doing waits while watching. And I think this would probably be a nicer pattern overall for Helm if I had to, from like a perspective of polling versus watching, if Helm was able to watch for resources to be able to be created, then this I think would be nicer overall. Versus a poll loop, if in the future Helm wanted to completely convert to watches.
Yeah, could fall back though to pull, right? If there's the permission missing, then it would be compatible.
Yeah,
License,
I mean, you could do a watch, and if permission's denied, then do a poll.
Maybe even issue a warning, say, for better performance or faster feedback, right? You should maybe consider adding these permissions to.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that kind of answers my questions. The other one, well, it answers that question at least. The other one was for testing, I think you would need at least some sort of integration tests to have coverage here. I just wasn't actually sure how these worked in the Helm repository. But I do understand there is integration. I can go figure it out. I guess my question is, there are integration tests that are kicked off during the Helm build and PR process, I believe.
There are existing weight tests. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at them lately to know whether the style is sufficient.
Okay. I can try and I can work this out myself, and we can. The other one, next PR. So the JSON schema repository that Helm depends on is unmaintained. This PR is a pretty clean one, which is to update it to this one, which appears to be maintained. I was just basically calling this out, saying I think we should probably look to merge this. It's pretty clean if you look at the details. That's it. There's an error handling.
How did Kubernetes handle the JSON schema change, or were they not using this library that we used?
I don't know, but that's probably a good thing to look into.
Yeah, I guess the important thing here would be to maybe have a look if that library is really the way to go, or not to have a switch like in 2 months again, right?
Yeah.
I'll just make a note for myself. I won't enter those.
Yeah, we want to make sure we don't have to change again for a long time. So it'd be really nice to have an alternative that is well maintained.
Yeah, definitely the error messages on this one look nicer than what we've had in the past.
They couldn't look worse, right?
Having written the first version of Helm error messaging, they can look worse than what we have now.
Yeah, so I think our biggest concern is if we're going to switch, let's make sure that the switch is to something that is going to have a really long life and looks like it's in good shape. And some of that may be, what is the rest of the Kubernetes community using? And if they have picked up on something, then Kubernetes will probably ensure some form of nice path forward. And so that might be a way to look at, but that's the area to investigate. Make sure that we're set up well.
Cool. So yeah, I'll figure out what Kubernetes is doing. I'll post in the PR to make sure.
Okay, that would be good.
We're following there. So this one here is a bug. I think I forgot his name. YX60. I think he no, he didn't actually review it. Yeah, some of these people asked Joe to bring this up. So the test case is pretty clean, but if you override, there's that pattern in how we can override from a subchart your parent chart's values, and the test shows that this is not happening. So there's a bug in here somewhere. So this is an issue, not a PR.
There's also a PR for this already, right? That's linked somewhere in there.
Did I? Yes, sorry, that's what I confused myself with. So there's this PR to fix. I guess the concern here might be this bug might be depended on by people. I don't know if we.
I had a look there, bit into the details, and I guess this was even some regression that, like, it is documented in a different way, right? That's why a colleague of mine opened that bug initially. So because it's not in line with the documentation. And yeah, as we thought that probably the documentation is not pulled out of thin air, right? It looks like this was working before as documented and somehow got changed and now doesn't work anymore. So
the documentation should have been written to what actually worked at the time it was created. And so as far as I can tell, it's a regression. Does that sound right, Butcher?
So all I can think is that the only possible other case would be if the documentation was written during Helm 2 and missed the Helm 3 update. But I'm reading the issue to see.
So perhaps the takeaway here might be to try and figure out when this regressed. And then
yeah, did this work the way you expected it with Helm, the release of Helm 3.0? Right, that's an easy thing. And to find out whether it regressed after Helm 3.0 or in the transition from Helm 2 to Helm 3. When did the change happen?
Was there import values even part of Helm 2?
That is a good question.
I think the point still stands. If we can figure out when it regressed, then I think we can make the decision.
I can make sure. I can check that. By the way, there's another PR for a similar thing, which makes the behavior configurable in the import values. But don't know if this is then something we want.
Yeah, I mean, likely we want it to be, likely we just want a single way that, and have the documentation, of course, explain it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is, and it is looking like a regression, I'm not sure, but it's looking like a regression, in which case the patch that's the PR on here is probably the right way to go. The only hesitation I have is, well, tests are passing. So somebody at some point thought, okay, well, the tests should produce this output. I guess I can look at the
blame.
That's what I'm on my way to do. Oh, this is all got my name on it. I'm not looking at it anymore. No. Yeah, most of these were 2018 and was Adam. So short of being able to ask Adam. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the wrong tests. Hang on. There we go, down here. Yeah, we should dig into this because it does look like it might be a regression that was introduced actually 2017. So
import values was part of Helm v2.
Okay.
I'm looking at the Helm v2 docs. If you go to v2.helm.sh, you can still find the Helm v2 docs in their glorious form with the old site design.
There we go. So I don't think we've quite answered the question of when it might have regressed. Was it Helm 3 or prior?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can have a look at this. Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be useful because in the interest of time here, we can go to the next one. So this one here is a bit of a junk. The guy claims to fix quite a few issues. It's quite a big PR. So I was going to suggest that he might break it up into some separate fixes. There's some refactors, there's some bug fixes, there's a bunch of things in this thing. But overall, it does look like it does fix some things. I tested this locally on my laptop and against one of our Helm charts, and it seems to be working nicely. But unless someone does want to review this entire thing in its entirety, I think the suggestion to break it up will be a good one.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, it's an XL, which means it's a massive amount of changes.
Right.
I guess the problem here is that it does some refactoring and therefore make the code less error prone, and therefore coincidentally, let's say, fixes some issues.
That could be, yes.
Right? So that correctly, right? It's not that it's like 3 individual bug fixes that are just meshed into one PR. So I don't know if it's super easy to.
And we've got to go look for breaking changes. I think I see some potential for breaking changes here, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I would still like to think, I don't know exactly. I generally, the way I would approach a PR of this would be to refactor and try very, very hard to not fix the bugs in my refactor, even though my muscle memory, my fingers is like, just fix that typo or whatever. But the goal being that you're not introducing any behavioral changes in the PR, and then then can make some additional PRs to actually do the bug behavioral changes, the bug fixes behavioral changes. I think this might be that's what I was thinking for this approach.
Or maybe, yeah, I just saw there was some stylistic changes in the beginning, right, where they moved like some variables. These are
right.
just blow up the diff.
I think this may actually be backwards breaking because templating code has been removed from the install setup. So for example, the output directory, output dir on the install action no longer works because template related code is removed from the install action, which would be a functionality breaking change. And that's probably going to be the issue here, is that still needs to work. So that way somebody who upgrades their SDK usage doesn't all of a sudden have something break with the APIs they were calling. It's internal functionality change. That may be the issue. And he noted on a code comment. So while he didn't change the struct, it looks like the behavior has changed.
Yeah, so what line file is that roughly? I think you see there's a comment.
Yeah, if you look at the comment in install.go and it's lines, he added comments at lines 83 and 84 in install.go to tell you that that's not going to work. It's deprecated, and like it says template related code is removed from the install action, right? Deprecated would normally mean, right, that it's still there, but we're going to remove it in the future. But he removed it now, which means the functionality is no longer the same inside.
I see.
And that's where I would look. And that could be a backwards breaking change that goes against our guarantees.
Yeah, I think that's even worse than removing it, right? Because if you update the SDK, it will just compile but do something different. Yeah, good luck finding that, right?
Yeah.
And so this literally changes the functionality of the Helm SDK API, which is something we can't do in Helm 3. This would have to wait till Helm 4. Now, breaking template from install, as far as functions you call, sounds a lot cleaner, and that would be great for Helm 4, but it breaks Semver to do it here.
Yeah, I can set these notes in the PR, or someone else speaks me to it, but I'll at least say this isn't going to be my submission, but
if you want, I can do this one, because I'm the one who rattled off my reasons for it. Sure. Thank you for bringing this one up. I'm happy to comment here. Yeah.
Yeah, Farina, I just dropped in a link to where that change bubbles all the way up into template.go, and you can see the change from client dot struct property to just a local variable.
Okay.
That's what I had for PRs. I don't know if I didn't look at the agenda.
Yeah, we should go back to the agenda now to see if anybody added. No, this was good. Thank you.
So if that JSON schema parser looks like the right one, then that one should be fairly easy to merge in because the code looks pretty good on that. And the others just seem to, the last one accepting the other two seem to be, we have a pretty good plan forward, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, and I will be around except for the week between the holidays if people need to ping me directly for reviews on some of this, because if we're going to get, this should go into the next minor release, some of these changes, if we can get them in. And so if we can, ping me in between and I can at least review to be a maintainer on them.
Actually, there's one other thing I just remembered. Did you see your GPG key has expired, Matt?
Mine did.
My PGP key expired, but I was using a sub key and I switched over. I gave up. I went and talked to a bunch of security folks and they're like, yeah, for what you're doing, don't bother with it. So I switched over to my eternal lifetime master. So that should work. It is, I was talked out of using a sub key.
Okay.
But yes, I did see that. Thank you for bringing it up. I switched to the master off of it. And if there's issues with that, please let me know. I'll try to go correct it. But otherwise, that's what's going on.
Okay.
It's already on. They look at me, they're like, you already put it on a YubiKey anyway. Nobody's going to get it off there. So why do you use subkeying?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I will update this issue, or if you want to, let me stick this on the sorry, expired.
Yes, and so if somebody's having issues with, there's an issue for my expired key. Okay, let me go poke at that and make sure that I didn't do something somewhere along the line that would cause problems. The last time when I signed, it says it's broken. Because the last time when I signed with the master. At least I thought I did.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I guess the only problem would be if all the old executable was assigned with the expired key. But I actually don't know much about GPG, so hopefully that's not the case.
Okay,
but yeah,
I will respond to this. Yes, so for older ones, yes, the PGP key is now expired. Yeah, I tried to follow best practices, and this is what happens. I will go respond to this one as well. so that folks know what's going on.
Already. Thank you. That was, yeah, sorry, I took most of the meeting. I don't know if anybody had anything else.
As we're talking about PRs, I have two open currently. Maybe Matt, I sent you links. Could you have a quick look?
If you send me links, this is a glorious week. Most of my executives are not around this week, and somehow my meetings mostly got canceled. So if you want to send me some stuff, I am happy to look at it this week. I am finding time to review things.
It's two smaller things, I guess, should be quick review.
Okay, good.
I just sent
Happy
you.
to help out too. Thank you.
Yep. So folks have to drop. It is the end of our meeting. Thanks for turning into a productive meeting and bringing that stuff, George. Is there anything else before we run? Because I got to go.
There's just someone wanted to demo something next week, so I think they wanted to do some Helm collab. It's what's under December 15th. So if anyone's interested, please show up next week. That's it.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you all.